Hello, welcome. I'm Julie Weisenberger from Cocoknits, and I'm going to give you a little overview of the Cocoknits method today and show you some samples. I've got my friend Tracy here who helps me teach. She's been helping me teach for years, and she's going to kind of assist and keep me on track and let me know if I've forgotten to say anything. So with that, let's get started. All right, so the Cocoknits method comes from my book, Cocoknits Sweater Workshop. And it is a way to knit a top-down seamless sweater, but that has set-in sleeves and some nice foundation at the top. So it shouldn't stretch endlessly, and it should also fit your shoulders nicely. This is a little, this one I use in the book to sort of give you an example of the different sections. Every one starts with a little cast on at the back neck. Then we create a little upper back and then two little shoulders. And what that does, this is called English tailoring, the slope. What that does is it pushes the join between the front and the back to the back of your shoulder, so you don't have any sort of join or seam sitting right up on top of your shoulder. So it's a really clean, neat way to knit. The other thing it does is it automatically slopes the shoulders. So I say the difference between wearing a sweater like this and a sweater that's boxier is it's like wearing a tube sock versus a sock that has a heel knitted into it. It's just going to fit better and stay better on your foot because you've knitted a little spot for your heel to sit in. It's the same with this. We're going to knit a little pocket for your shoulder to sit in. So if you get the fit right up there, no matter whether you knit it wispy and big or whatever, it should sit on your body correctly. So that's sort of what English tailoring is and what the Cocoknits method is. And the way we're going to do this is every sweater starts with this little cast on at the bottom. And then we go back and forth and create this little upper back piece. And that then gets flipped around. So now it's as you would wear it. This is the back of your neck. And we've got to get from the back up over the shoulders on both sides. So then you're going to pick up the stitches along that little trapezoid piece we just made. Pick up the stitches and knit a little shoulder flap. And that gets you to the front of the sweater. And you're going to do the same on the other side. So what you wind up with at this point is sort of a horseshoe shaped piece of knitting. And as you wear it, it's going to sit like this. And I don't know if you can see, maybe if I show you the back of it, you can see that already the shoulders are sloped on this. And then we're going to go around and knit across on the sides of each of these shoulder flaps. You're going to pick up stitches for the sleeve tops. Come across the back. On the other side, you're also going to pick up stitches for the tops of the sleeves. Come around, and now you're all joined. And that's all the really tricky, that's the hardest part of the whole sweater. Now you're all joined and you're ready to knit the whole entire sweater down from that point, and everything's seamless. So what that part is, everything I've just described is in the cream color. And then this darker little row right here, this is actually a couple of rows. This is so the back was section 1, the shoulders are section 2. Section 3 is when this dark brown where you come around, pick up sleeve stitches, come around the back, pick up sleeve stitches, and knit around to the front again. That's everything joined and ready to knit seamless down. And when you do the wrong side row before we start the yoke, you're going to place stitch markers, and every stitch marker, the pattern tells you what color to place. And that is going to help you keep this all straight. Every section has a marker to mark it. So the front, the sleeves, the back, so that you can track where you are in the sweater.
So Julie, what's the advantage of knitting a sweater this way, to doing all that little fiddly stuff at the top? Why do we go through all that?
So if you were to knit, say, a raglan or a round yoke, that's fine. You wouldn't have everything all separate. It would be more all knitted at once. And there just aren't the really great foundations when you do it that way. It's great if that works for you. I find they stretch out and I find they don't fit me very well. And it's harder to get a specific fit. This way you can knit for your shoulder width, and maybe your shoulder width is a different size than the bust circumference you want or the sleeve circumference you want. This really separates it out and allows you to knit for each part of your body separately to get a really good fit. So that is why, and also it keeps it from stretching endlessly. You've got some really nice firm foundations in there. All right. So the next part is going to be everything that is this gray color here. That is the seamless yoke. And that's where I was saying each section is separated by colored stitch markers because they're going to grow differently. The sleeves are going to have to grow from tiny to full sleeve circumference. So that's one thing you have to track. At the same time, we've got a back that is going to go mostly down. And then just before the underarms, it's going to grow. So we've got that to track. At the same time, we've got fronts that have that same armhole edge as the back, but then we also have a neckline. So these increases that are filling in here to create that V neck or a scoop neck or a boat neck, whatever kind of neckline you want to do, that is yet another increase to track and have to keep track of the increases there. So in order to make this easier to keep track of, I felt bad giving people the instruction to just at the same time, at the same time, at the same time. So those colored stitch markers that we placed, they correspond to the vertical colored lines in this coconut sweater worksheet. And each of these is a section of your sweater. We've got sleeve and sleeve. This is the back, and then two fronts. And we've got neckline edge on the very outside, inside edges. There's the inside edge of each front. So by the armhole edges and then each sleeve. So what the patterns do is rather than say paragraphs of do this and at the same time do this, what it does is it says, get your starting stitch counts, write them in the top. The sleeves, for instance, you're going to increase maybe every right side row, then every fourth row, then every right side row. It'll tell you exactly how to fill this in. You'll make little marks everywhere you need to do an increase. And then you knit and you do the same. You fill out the neckline edges, you fill in the increases for the back. And then when you knit across this, you knit across every section. But because this matches the colored markers in your knitting, you can just follow it right across. And when you come to say that violet marker, you look here, there's the violet marker, and you see whether you've got to do an increase or not. And you just keep going back and forth, knitting through the yoke. And that gets you from tiny up here to finished full bust circumference, right across here, full sleeve circumference. And then you're done with the seamless yoke. You're going to take your sleeve stitches off, finish the body, and then go back, get those sleeves back onto needles and finish the sleeves.
So how do we know if we're using that worksheet, how to fill it in? It looks confusing.
When you say worksheet, of course, you think school days and I'm going to have to do homework. It actually is easier. It's the purpose is to make your life easier. You don't have to do math. The pattern is going to tell you, put in your starting stitch count. Say your sleeve starts with 8. You started with 8 stitches up here. And then it's going to say, draw a line under row whatever for your size. Every single size, it tells you how many rows your worksheet is going to be worked over. So say it's 20 rows or something. And then it's going to have you work increases every right side row, maybe every fourth row, every right side row. You're just going to mark on there. And then at the end of row 20 or whatever yours is, you should have your ending stitch count, and it'll tell you what it should be. So it's just a way to track everything, and it actually should make your life a lot easier. That's the idea. And then you'll be, this is a little baby sweater, but to give you an idea, you'll sort of have a little cape because your sleeve has grown. There is the sleeve pickup, and it went from teeny tiny to, you can see lots of increases. So now it's full circumference. You sort of have a little cape. Some ends hanging in here too. And that's where you'll knit across, and you're going to take those sleeve stitches off onto a holder and keep going just on the body. And these sleeve stitches will just hold on there until you finish the body, and then you'll come back, get them back on, and finish the sleeve. And then that allows you, like I say, to, if you know you want a bigger sleeve, you can pick up more stitches to start with, or you can do more increases so that you can get the measurements that you want. If you know that you're going to want a bigger bust circumference, you can just do more increases. When you look at your worksheet, just add some increases and you should be good.
So it's customizable?
Very customizable. That's sort of the whole point, is you should be able to customize it very easily.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I can show you some samples if you're ready to see some samples. There are, the one that I'm wearing is the very most basic from the book. This is, it's called Emma. And this is the one that's on the cover is the boat neck version. This is exactly the same one. And this one is a V-neck version. It's just how you do those increases on the neckline that changes it from a boat neck to a V-neck. And when you get to the bottom of the yoke, if you continue to go back and forth, you're going to have a cardigan. And that's what this is. If you join and start to go in the round, you're going to have a pullover, and that's what I'm wearing, is the pullover version of Emma. So this is a really good basic beginner pattern to try that's in the book, the one called Emma. I've got a couple other Emma cardigans. It's a really great way to play yarn chicken. For instance, this is some yarn, some mohair yarn, really chunky mohair yarn from South Africa, from Cowgirl Blues. And I had no idea how much yarn was in this cone. So I started with the upper back. I got through the yoke. Then I actually held the body stitches and knitted the sleeves as long as I wanted them. So I did the sleeves first. Then when I went back and did the body, I was able to use every inch of yarn. I went until I absolutely ran out of yarn. And it's a little bit cropped, but it's perfect for me. I love a cropped sweater. So it's a great way if you aren't sure how much yarn you have. It's a great way to play yarn chicken, and it also uses less yarn because you're sloping. There's no waste at all. Here's another one I did with Blue Sky brushed Surrey. And I tweaked the gauge a little bit on this. It's a little bit tighter gauge. And we have a video on the website that helps you figure that out. If you want to use some yarn that's not the gauge that's called for, you can probably just knit one of the other sizes and come out with your measurements. So check cocoknits.com for that.
As you always like to say, we have videos for everything.
We do. The techniques that are called for in the beginning of the book, these are all videos. This is how I do my increases that are a little different. These are lifted increases on both the knit and the purl sides. We have this handout is on the website. You can print it right off, but there are also videos on the website. And then this is how I do. I also do my pickups a little differently. The pickup and knit for the shoulder sections, I want a really, really firm foundation up here. So these pickups are not your standard pickup and knit. They are, they replicate seams really well. They're very much replicate, if you've ever done any seaming and knitting, it's like blind stitch or mattress stitch. So that's why these have such a firm foundation. So those are also videos on the website. It's all there. So this is also in the book. This sweater is called Molly, and it is a scoop neck. You go back and add the ribbing after, but you can see again, that nice little back slope. And you can get, so again, you can get the measurement across the back you want. This is a medium, but again, I could have knitted, decided that I wanted the size large sleeve was going to be better for me. Even if it's the medium bust, you can kind of pick and choose the parts that work for you. So there is, that one is in the web or in the book. It's called Molly. Then there are a couple of patterns in the book that don't require you to use the worksheet. Oh, we got a little wrinkle there. Because I kept going. This one is so off the shoulder. There's that little increase. The one in the book, I did these increases with yarn overs. So if you try the increases, the lifted increases, and you don't love them, you can just do a yarn over. I did the lifted increases on this one. But this is a Habu yarn knitted to gauge, but really it gives a really nice open fabric. So this one is called Tilda. And then I think Tracy has the other one that does the same thing.
Oh,
It is, yeah, it's called Tallulah.
I don't
And
know how
this
to
one, yeah, there you can see the yarn overs. Instead of doing the increases, it's yarn overs. But and that one uses garter stitch, and it's just a nice wrap. It's not really quite a full cardigan because it doesn't have separate sleeves. The sleeves are just created by doing a lot of increases on the on that upper back section. So that's also kind of a fun beginner one that is pretty straightforward to do. So those are the two that don't require the worksheet, if that's like sort of if you want to just dip a toe in.
Yeah, they're fun and easy to wear. They're great.
Yeah, yeah. And then I have lots of other samples. If this makes sense to you and you feel like you could suss it out without the book, there is a pattern called Tony. Again, you might need the directions of the book. In the book, every little thing I've described is sort of its own chapter. So I go into a lot more depth, and there's a whole chapter on how to fill out the worksheet. So if you feel like you need more hand holding, you can also look for a lot of yarn shops teach this class as a sort of a knit along. So you can look for if you have an LYS that's teaching it, that's a great way to kind of get some help doing it. But this one is called Tony. It's just a basic. This is the solid color version. Has pockets in behind the ribbing. And then I actually started this at the beginning of quarantine as sort of a stash busting pattern. So here it is color blocked. I just went until I ran out of the ivory. And then I just started with the gray until I ran out, and then ended with the dark gray. And again, there are pockets in behind. With this one, the button band gets knitted at the same time. So when you're done, you just sew the buttons on and you don't have to go back and add a band. And there is the little, again, the shoulder drop. This is how the back neck button band looks.
And what was that one called again?
This one is called Tony. This one I even did a different color on the back collar. And then here again, color blocking. And this is all written into the pattern.
So talking a little bit more about customizing, can you give us an example of how maybe a different type of body shape and how you could use the Cocoknits method to customize a sweater to fit you?
Yes, good question, because this is Lizzie, and it's actually the same sweater that Tracy is wearing. So this is my Lizzie. This is knitted out of Twig by Shibui. Great lightweight wispy yarn. But again, this is a really lightweight, it's a great sort of summer cardigan to throw on. But because I have that little, again, that shoulder construction that has made a little 3D pocket for my shoulder, even though it's wispy and floaty, it stays on. It doesn't just keep slipping off of my shoulders. It stays put. But this one, I started this as a large. So it has large shoulders. So everything I did in the beginning, it built the back as the large, built the shoulders as a large. I am broad shouldered, but I don't have the large bust. So after I build it as a large to start with, I then fill out my worksheet for a medium. And between the shoulders and the bottom of the yoke, I go down to a medium size. And most women, I think Tracy's probably, well, I don't know if Tracy's this way, but I have a lot of friends who are the opposite. They're more narrow shouldered, and maybe they only want the circumference or the extra in the bust area. So they can start, say, with a medium across the shoulders, build the shoulders, the upper back is a medium. When they go to fill out their worksheet, they fill it out for the large or even the 1X. So they go from a medium up to a large or a 1X. And so you can easily kind of pick the sizes. Again, you can also, I've had people say, okay, I'm a medium in the shoulders, I'm a 1X in the bust, but I like the large sleeve. Put in those ending stitch counts and then just make the increases work out so that you get to those numbers by the end of your yoke. It's pretty straightforward to do, and is a great way to customize a sweater because there's no standard body shape. I have to aim for something, but I'm mostly a medium, but a little bit on the large size, just in the shoulder. Maybe you're mostly a large, but not in the shoulders. You can go down a size there. So
I have found that I'm kind of in between small and medium. So I usually knit a medium of Julie's, but maybe go down a needle size.
Yes, that is another great tip, is tweaking the gauge. So speaking of which, this one is called Franca. Really luscious with a big kangaroo pocket. This was our knit along. We do a knit along every year, starting end of January, beginning of February. And this was the knit along last year. And I did not get gauge. So my gauge should have been, I think, around 4 stitches to the inch. And it was just a little smaller than that, closer to 4.5 stitches to the inch. This one I did in Mayak. I think it's Mayak medium is what it's called. And so I found, like I said, there's a video for this on the website. I found that what I needed to do was start with the extra large on the top, and then I went down to a large to knit the rest of it, but got the measurements of the large and the medium because I was knitting to a tighter gauge. And then this is the same sweater, actually knitted to the correct gauge. This one is knitted in Woolfolk Far. Really, really soft. It's like a bathrobe. It does pill. It's really soft yarn, but it does pill a bit. All right. So
wow, amazing.
We have you can't, we get asked sometimes, can you do stitch pattern? Yes, you can. I wouldn't recommend this for your very first Cocoknit sweater. This one is called Rosa. It is a scoop neck, has a little split in the hem. And this kind of thing you can do. You're able to try the sweater on almost immediately. you know, when you see this little guy that you're knitting here, you can already put this over your shoulders and get a feel for how it's going to fit and make adjustments on the fly. And once you're on the body, you can customize anything on the bottom. If you like this split hem, you could do that on an Emma or a Molly. But this 2x2 rib really shows off the shoulder detail really well. And then Tracy has one that is cabled. It's called Kiki. And again, just to show you that.
Can you see it very well?
There we go. Yeah, you see hopefully you can see that.
It's hard.
I know. And these patterns, everything is on the website. So if you want to see that.
This is fun because it has a little secret surprise pocket in it.
Little cloth. That one I think is Liberty fabric lined pocket. Yeah. So that is, like I say, these are all on the website. So if you want to see them for real, you can go to the website and see them all there. And then again, for kind of slightly different stitch pattern, this one is called Zoe, and it is done in garter stitch, little jacket. And this one, you have the option again, if you don't want to do the increases, the lifted increases, you can just do the yarn overs to get that. And then this is the same one. Again, this is Zoe, and this one, these are both knitted in Nomad Noose, which is it's a yarn company that's out of Switzerland, but they have a women's cooperative in Mongolia and Tibet to help women learn to spin. And it's just, this one is out of Sartoul sheep, and it's really, really lightweight. Lovely. So that one is called Zoe, just to kind of show you that you can also use stitch pattern with these. And then these are two kind of fun. This one is done in Mayak lace, and it's a little cropped jacket that has the ties that sort of come away from the ribbing. So you can tie it and have a little tie, or you can just let them hang down.
And what's that one called?
Eva.
Yeah.
And then this is the same one knitted in Swan's Island. And this is iCat in colorway Firefly, which is really fun. So the yarn just has these little flecks all over in it. And it's also a little space dyed, you can see. But it's split on the sides, little cropped. But again, you're knitting down so you can keep going if you want to, and make these any length you want. At that point, you can easily try it on and get a feel for whether you want it longer or shorter. And then here is one more that just has. So this one is called Madeline. And if you see it on the website, it is black and white striped, solid. You would never guess that this is it. I love to do this, just do some swatching and try yarns at gauges other than what they call for. So this is, otherwise, if you look at the Madeline pattern online, this is knitted to the same gauge as though it were DK weight, even though it's lace weight. And it just made this wonderful sheer. It's just like a feather. It's really nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we've hit just about a half an hour. So if we want to kind of in conclusion, maybe, tell people why knit this way and what are the advantages, and why we should all learn how to do the Cocoknits method.
If you want to. I always think that people who can sort of wear anything are lucky. For one thing, I can't. I feel like things start to look really sloppy, and so I do like that. Even if I do something that's a little more off the shoulder, like this one is definitely a little more oversized. This one is called June, and it is a more relaxed fit, a little bit more oversized fit with this little kind of bulb sleeve. but it does have that structure up here. And once you knit one, if you were to try something like this Emma that I'm wearing, try one, dip a toe in, and you can start to see where if you have knitted sweaters before and they never quite fit, it's probably because, we're expected to design for standard sizes and there's no such thing. So it's not you, it's that the standards aren't necessarily, right. How could they be? Everybody is very unique. So this way to knit just allows you to really customize. And if you have any, if you're trying it and you filled out your worksheet and you're trying to get a handle on it, if you have any questions, we try and answer all of our emails too. You might even get Tracy.
That's right.
If you send us an email, but it is just a nice way to be able to try your sweater on as you go, be able to knit for different sizes in every section, and hopefully come out with a sweater that fits you the way you want it to. And on that, I say, that you can measure your body, but that doesn't tell you how you like the sweater to fit. So I recommend that you measure some things in your closet that you wear all the time. Could be your favorite old ratty sweatshirt, but if it's comfortable, maybe you want to knit to those measurements, even if they're not your measurements. So think about that too. Some people like to wear things really close fitting. Some people like to wear them very oversized. It's all good. That's all fine. But just experiment. And this is a pretty quick way to knit. So you'll know pretty quickly as you build the top, whether it's going to work or not. So hopefully it helps you get some sweaters that you like the fit of.
Thanks, Julie.
You're so welcome. And, give it a try and let us know how it goes. We'll try and answer questions.
That's right.
Keep knitting at any rate.
Happy knitting, everybody.
Happy knitting. Thank you.